Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to Motion Design Hotline. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us here on Friday. And of course, we have another special guest with us. Eran, thanks for coming and hanging out.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I'm thrilled. I'm stoked.
Nope. Now, for those of you out there in the world who don't know, Eran is a master trainer. If you've been to any conferences, you've probably seen him speaking live to hundreds, thousands of people. But we've got him on this show
millions,
now.
Millions, probably.
Wow.
Oh we'll just say millions. Don't fact check that.
Yeah,
just exaggerate.
But now we've got him here on the program for today. He's going to show us some awesome technical demos, some new things. I think in After Effects, some technically new features maybe we're going to jump into. I don't know. And all of you in the chat, if you haven't gotten your questions in using our fancy form, he said adjusting his glasses, then get them to us live in the chat. We'll pick them out of there, and we will. Kyle, you don't have glasses. You can't adjust them.
Yeah, I used to, though.
Oh, but you got it fixed?
Mm-hmm. Oh. I got fixed.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Yeah.
So for anyone who doesn't know Mr. Stern, why don't you tell the good folks out there, the elevator pitch about you, just the Cole's notes. What can they? What have you been up to? How long you been doing this, and how'd you get into it?
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Eran Stern. I feel like it's part of a tutorial with a very long intro.
That's right.
So yeah, I've been doing it. I'm a motion graphic designer. First of all, let me just introduce myself as well as Adobe certified trainer. So I have a master's degree in Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, and my forte, After Effects. Been with After Effects since version 2, I guess, so 25 years.
Whoa.
Probably.
Whoa.
Yeah, long sitter, the back of the bus now. Yep. Also did a lot of stuff with the team in Seattle, so, work a little bit in the development, back office stuff. So I'm really in love with the application, and I'm spending more time with After Effects than with my wife. I probably shouldn't say this live, but
Well, she'll never hear this.
That probably balances out, right?
Yeah, she's not watching. Anyhow, so it's a love story for me, and I'm doing tutorials and for a long time, starting with Creative Cow. Back at the days with my dear friend Aaron Rabinovich, and then moving on to lynda.com, which was bought by LinkedIn, which was bought by Microsoft. So I find myself working for Microsoft after all these years using an Apple computer in Microsoft. Anyhow, no one
They get you. They always get you.
I'm training. I'm a training person. I'm a teacher, basically. Trying to teach After Effects and other stuff.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, hey, we're glad you're here to help maybe teach us some things. I didn't know you've been with it since like version 2. That's a long time, man. That goes back.
It is a long time. There are people that are didn't born and work with After Effects, and
right.
I was there on board with one layer, one mask. No, actually it was one mask, but a couple of layers. So
yeah. This is before there was even the hint of a shape layer in the world. Before there was a 3D toggle. This is.
Yeah, I can give you all of the brief history. Like I know exactly when 3D arrived. It was 5.5, not CS, 5.5.
See, that's
remember demoing it actually at IBC for what it's worth.
Awesome, yeah. And usually at this time of the year, we'd be hanging out at NAB. We would be hanging out at Post Production World. But for those of you hanging out with us in the chat, there's a very special prize. Post Production World is moving online this year. And Eran, you've brought a surprise to give away to people. So tell folks a little bit about that, and before we jump into it, just so people know what's up for giveaways today. We don't usually have giveaways, so this is kind of weird.
Yeah, okay. So hopefully it will go smoothly.
We're gonna find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. Actually, very exciting stuff. So as you told everyone, usually we are. Kyle and I usually in this hour of the day we are teaching a class together. This is what we are doing, for the last couple of years. But COVID-19. Here we go. This is now becoming an online interactive live 3D event taking place at May 17 to 19 in May. So taking place in your home, I guess, your bed, your kitchen, whatever you want to watch it. So your space and your pace. And it's got probably more or less the same program, but condensed to the greatest hits of Bob Marley. No, I'm just joking. Bob Marley will not be there. But greatest hits of all the other speakers. So all the sessions are condensed to 1 hour, 50 minutes to be correct. So 10 minutes for Q&A. And it's like a couple of tracks, production, post-production, new media, emerging technologies and business. And there's some Apple ecosystem as well as Final Cut Pro. So you can basically just, go to the website and see it for yourself. I'm going to, I guess, 6 sessions I will have there. Yeah. Everything is new. I'm not monetizing, nothing. So it's going to be new content as I'm trying to bring to NAB every year. Actually, pretty much excited about it. And that's it. We have a ticket for you. At the end of the show, the hosts here will give you more details. I don't know how to.
Well, we have it very carefully planned, and we're definitely not making this entire process up as we do it.
Like it's a lot of systems. It's a lot of very carefully calculated gamification.
It may seem random, but if it does, that's because we're doing this correctly.
Yeah, if it's perfectly random, you'll never know the difference.
So since while we're talking about Post-Production World Online, what topics are you covering there in your sessions?
Let me take a look at the program.
I have to remind myself.
It does get hard to keep track of them sometimes, right?
Of course. And once you help writing it, you completely forget about it and move to another thing. So yes, I'm going to cover 3D typography, the art of rotoscoping, which is completely out of my comfort zone. I decided that, I will take the most hateful thing that I hate to do in After Effects and make a course out of it. So this is going to be a course in LinkedIn Learning as well as a session here. And what else? I'll speak about the essential graphics in After Effects and Premiere Pro, Illustrator for video and 3D, and compositing with After Effects and Cinema 4D, another favorite application that I really like to enjoy. And the last session is actually a beginner class After Effects for video editor, so some essential stuff if you're making your baby steps.
Awesome.
As many people are. That's fantastic. And you've brought some demos with you today for us to have a look at. And I'll just say, good folks getting at us in the chat. If you'd like us to stop and clarify some stuff, if you have questions in the moment, hit us up. This is literally live, so you can jump in all the time. We've got some people who've already put in some wonderful questions early before we're good to go. But hey, how about we dive into the first one? Which one are we starting with here?
Maybe we can have the people in the chat help us decide. But It might be fun if we kind of I don't know. I thought it'd be fun to sort of obscure what the topics are, but you still get a choice. So it's more maybe like the illusion of choice. But we have 6 demos here that Eran has ready for you. So I don't know if you guys in the chat want to just yell out numbers between 1 and 6. We'll pick winners and dive into them there.
Now we're kind of entering into the Let's Make a Deal version of this show, in which we present you with 6 unknowns and ask you to choose one.
It's a very meaningful choice.
Right.
Just want to make sure that you see that it is really live. So
Yeah. We're seeing 2s, we're seeing 4s.
A heavy lean to 4 here. Right. Which would be creating precise mats with Colorama and Auto Trace.
Sweet.
Okay. So should we start with this?
People are loving number 4. So
lucky 4, I guess.
Okay.
Now I'm starting to wonder why so many people chose 4 without prior knowledge of what this could be.
And Roland wisely pointed out, shouldn't we be starting with 0 for the list, since After Effects works with index 0? It's a little bit of inside baseball, but I like it.
These are the kinds of technical puns that we expect from our chat here on the program. But yeah, let's jump on over to your screen there, and we'll see. Let's make some precise mats with Colorama.
All right.
Ooh.
Let me know. I'm good to go. Can you see my black screen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people are looking into the void.
Intimidating. Yeah, the reason that it is
ever.
So the reason I'm just going to press spacebar and talk you through what we are seeing here, because I just want to give you some context. And let me just bring the volume down. Hopefully you can hear something. Mm-hmm. So this is basically a title sequence, which is taken from a double course that I did for LinkedIn Learning with Nick Haraz, which will teach you how to create title sequence in After Effects. But not only create title sequence, also, all the process behind it. So how to come with the concept and, go with the client about what footage you can use, and then determine which fonts are valid and animate them on screen and all sorts of stuff. So we couldn't squeeze it into one course, so we just split it between us. I'm obviously showing the After Effects part, and I'm going to give you a sneak peek. So this is the first time you are going to see it before anyone else, even before myself probably. So this is the shot that we're going to tackle. I'm just going to bring the composition window over here so you can see what we are starting with. So imagine that we bring in stuff from Premiere. This is shot number 7. Once again, I'll just press play to show you what we are starting with. Those clips are courtesy of Adobe Stock. I should need to thank them. So thank you, Adobe Stock, for helping me. So this is the cave shot that you've seen before. And just behind this cave shot, we have a couple of other shots from, I guess, Mars. Not Mars. Why am I saying Mars? It's Venus. But actually, it's not Venus. It's 3D Venus. And, we just did some basic, color correction and hold keyframes for the opacity to create this blinking effect. But this is not what we are here to discuss. We want to see how we can get rid of this color here. So when I got this from Premiere Pro, from the editor, I'm just going to turn on the FX icon. This is the best it could do. So a couple of color keys effect. Each one is basically saying goodbye to a few other colors. And luckily, this is just a still shot, so it's not moving anywhere. But I want to create something more precise. Now, I'm going to save you some time. First, I'm going to say goodbye to these effects because obviously they are not working. I've tried most of what you can find under the keying category. None of them yield a decent result. So I actually thought that, instead of me creating this elaborate mask by hand, let's see how far I can push a couple of channel effects in After Effects and then the auto trace command to put it off. So this is what I came up with. First, there is some sort of a preparation step. So I'm going to go to the color correction menu. I'm going to use Colorama. Now, Colorama is obviously it's not, I think, in the correct place in terms of category. It's more of a channel effect than a color correction tool. So it's kind of a utility effect, unless you want to go psychedelic like this. This is like the default preset.
That's
but
always what I want, definitely.
Of course, most of us want to return to hair and do some psychedelic stuff. And by the way, if you are applying something and you don't know what the hell it's doing, you can play with it. But there is a little thing here which was available here. It was the about command. Now it's missing. It's not really missing. Adobe are hiding stuff from us because they want you to right click on something and then it's over here. So if you want to know what an effect is doing, this one is performing an advanced color manipulation. Anyhow, just to show you a tip within a tip. So I'm just going to go to the ramp gray option over here, which is going to take whatever input I'm feeding it. I haven't changed anything, so this is the intensity, and create some sort of a ramp gray. But this wheel is very, very nice because I can actually add more colors here. So for example, I can add, let's say, a white color. In this case, I need to actually close it. And then I can move it to somewhere over here. And then I can click again and add another color. So what I'm doing by adding these colors is basically I can manipulate the way the distribution of colors are happening in the shot. Now, obviously, this is bad. It's not looking good. But what I'm looking here is just for the inside part of this matte. This is what I want to isolate. So I think that this is looking quite nice. Once again, don't really care about all the garbage outside. So I'm going to leave it like this for a moment. Then I'll select the clip, go to the layer menu, and choose the old school, since version 3 of After Effects, auto trace command. Now, the auto trace was used back at the days to basically convert text to shapes or to masks before shape layers were introduced to the application. It's really cool command. I'm going to switch to use the luminance, and you can get a sense of what it's doing behind the scenes because the preview checkmark is switched on. So you can see all the masks that it's going to generate. I'm going to switch it to current frame because obviously we don't want to spend the entire evening here. So just one frame. Tons of masks are going to be generated. I'm just going to click OK. It will take a moment or two to do this. But now look at that. I've got the mask that I need. So if I'm going to click on it, I can show you that this is a new layer. Actually, I should apply this to the original layer, but I was too lazy. Doesn't really matter. The only main thing is to make sure that mask is selected. Let's just maximize the screen. This is the mask that we want. So mask number 82. I'm going to go to the edit copy command and copy it. And then we can switch off this guy. Actually, we can say goodbye to it. We don't really need it. And I'm going to paste it over here. Say goodbye to Colorama. Thank you for the service. Then open up the masks and set this guy to subtract. And just like that, I've got a very articulated mask. Now, obviously, it's not perfect here because I'm doing it live. Because, this is things always goes wrong when it's live. So I'm just going to marquee around those guys and fix it in front of your unbelievable eyes. I can't see the eyes, but I'm just guessing. It's unbelievable. Anyhow, you got the drift. I mean, it saves me tons of work here. So I think it looks quite decent for the amount of work that I invested in. There's another color correction layer over here using the Lumetri color with Triton just to bring the colors that we've seen before. And this is the text. And just to give a sense of something in terms of parallax is moving here, I'll press Alt-Shift. Actually, I'm on the Mac side, so it's Option-Shift, but I'm talking like I'm in the PC. Anyhow, Option-Shift S.
I appreciate it.
Of course, it's for you, Kai. So Option-Shift S or Alt-Shift S is going to expose the scale and create a keyframe for me because I'm tired. I'm too lazy. I want After Effects to work a bit. And then I'm going to scale it, let's say, to 110 and press on the magic key, which is the biggest key in the keyboard, spacebar, to preview the result. And here we are.
Yeah. I love how much time it saves, because I was thinking, oh, well, of course we just draw a mask, right? And then, well, look at this, because even while explaining it, that was maybe under 5 minutes to get this operation done. So that is pretty great. I don't think a lot of people touch Colorama in their lives.
Well, Colorama definitely falls into the category of effects that I think a lot of people apply at once and they go, what the heck is up with that? And then they maybe don't dig any deeper. But you certainly can use it to stylize things, but it has all these great utility uses to it. We got a question from Sinead in the chat while you were demoing that. And I wondered if that might be a good follow-up to kind of point out that you can feed this different inputs as well, kind of depending on your shot.
Oh, definitely. I mean, this effect is just, there's so much things going on here. By the way, Brian Moffitt was the guy behind it. And the only downside, if I may add before answering the question, is that this is still, I think, an 8-bit effect. Mm-hmm. Other than that, it's just, very useful. And so you can feed it different stuff here. So instead of the intensity, which is, of course, the intensity or the volume of the thing, you can just feed it with the red channel, if this makes sense. I'm not sure, because now we are seeing it with the masks. So maybe I'm just going to switch the mask off momentarily after we saw the magic that it happened. And then, you need to also play with the presets if you want. So you can use it as a utility to create some wacky color correction stuff like this one. Once again, doesn't really work in this case due to the fact that we are heavily color correcting the shot. So I think that I should just make sure that, it is without anything. So there was a lot of presets for the out cycle as well as for the input cycle, depending on what you want to achieve. And there's always this blend with original, which is very, very efficient. But I must be honest. I mean, I'm using it most of the time as a utility effect.
I think one of the other things that maybe confuses people about Colorama is because we sometimes think of inputs like in terms of intensity, right? We might think of that as a linear progression, right? We're going to go from black to white. And then we're remapping that to a radial circle, as you can see there, because it's that hard cut. And I think that really confuses people sometimes. Like, wait a minute. Now it's a circle. What's that all about?
My only real wishes for Colorama are a little bit more precision in that wheel. And if the color picker were actually the system color picker, which just makes it a little easier to use and easier to copy paste colors into. But
I think it is the system color picker.
Oh well, yeah.
This for me. This is what's so confusing, because the thing is that you're deciding upon a color, then nothing is happening. You need to actually escape out of it.
I think I meant the Adobe color picker, because it does take the system one.
Yes. Yeah, it takes the system one instead of the Adobe color picker. Yeah, I hear you. So hopefully Brian Moffitt is always also hearing us. Maybe he'll do something with it.
We'll send.
Who knows? Who knows?
Well, hey, with stuff like that, you should put it in the Adobe Voice forums, and then make sure people upvote your suggestion. That's a pro move. All right. So let's see. I think that knocked out the things people were asking about that.
Yeah, that's great. So we do have another question in here from Logan, who just kind of wanted to know how you got your start in this stuff, and especially being around After Effects, almost since it was born. How'd you get into this stuff when it was, barely even a thing yet?
Okay, so my journey started at 1992 after I finished my military service, which was and still is mandatory, where I grew up in Tel Aviv. I moved to London, but spent most of my years in Israel. And I actually wanted to create some sort of a movie to get a rank. So I wanted to do a movie. They asked me to do something like a project. So this is where I encountered After Effects for the first time. And I did some horrible animation of a tank and a person that shoots it. Never mind. I have it somewhere, but it's really, it's sad. But this got me going. So obviously I did the right move and ditched everything after a couple of years of training myself and moved because I want to. I realized that After Effects is for babies. The end of the 90s. This is what it was. I'm not saying it wasn't powerful enough, but there were a couple of big guns there.
It wasn't really a serious program at first.
Yeah. So stop me anytime you want, but I'm just giving you the extended version here. What I actually did is I learned I got accepted to a post house that worked on Flame. And I worked on Flame, Autodesk Flame. It was discrete logic Flame that days for a couple of years. So it's a heavy compositing machine. Learned a lot of compositing stuff by working with this. So and then I found out that I couldn't do anything back at my desktop due to the fact that those machine costs almost like an apartment.
And I guess to take people back to that time, there was a time when software and hardware were together, right? You couldn't get Flame on something else. You had to get it with the hardware, and which was the same with Avid for a long time as well. If you wanted to edit on Avid, you had to get Avid hardware. So it was really limiting. You couldn't have it in your home. There's no way.
Exactly. So I switched gears and I went to work with Apple for a couple of years. Then I found and discovered, not found, Media 100, which I worked on for a couple of years. And Media 100, and After Effects were really good friends. It was like, I think one of the early systems that actually had what we are referring now as the Mercury transmit. So you can actually watch the After Effects on a broadcast monitor. I mean, the composition on a broadcast monitor without all the interface things. We are calling it a client monitor. So it was actually a valid workstation to do a lot of stuff. So then I worked in TV, did tons of commercials and promos, and even cut some regular programs, creating openers and stuff for many years, maybe too many years, because I fed up with clients by then. And this is like, the reason that I figure out, well, instead of working with clients, I might as well teach them how to work. And then I found myself in the university for 12 years. I taught at the Hebrew University in Bezalel, in Jerusalem for 4 years, and then it was 16 years, so then another 12 years in Tel Aviv in Shenkar, which is also a very well-established college for motion graphics and design these days. And that's it. And from this point, took off, literally took off to Heathrow.
And now, so you have a ton of courses on LinkedIn Learning, previously known as Lynda. You teach in person. You, do you still do any client work at all?
Yes, I think that, in order to know how to serve and, to improve your backhand, sorry for the lousy metaphor, hopefully someone will pick, I'm not going to say which one, and there is a tennis demo here hiding somewhere.
Well,
anyhow,
well, we should get on to more demos, though.
So
I think we should do. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to finish the sentence because I was just stopping to take air. Anyhow, I figure out that you need to do some work in order to maintain the muscle memory and also solve some challenges and stuff. So yes, I'm doing it, but it's a minor thing of what I'm really doing these days. But yes, I have actually a couple of projects opened as we speak.
You can never be all the way out, I find. It's just not. You got to stay sharp, got to stay current.
I agree. So I think being that we're almost halfway through already, yowza. What Evan, do you want to talk about the process of how we're doing this giveaway? Might be a good time to kind of spur people to start doing that.
Yeah. So for the giveaway, what we're going to do is we're going to look back at all the chat history. We're going to pull out any chat that has PPW in it here in our chat. So if you'd like to win this ticket to Post-Production World Online, then what we want you to do is in the chat, right, PPW, and then just something that you want to learn about After Effects or in After Effects or to do with it. So make sure you're using PPW in the chat so we can scroll through, we can find you, and we can hook you up with this. How much is a ticket usually to PPW Online?
Okay, good question. Let me see how it works.
And we all rush to Google in the other monitor here.
We should have done.
I think around 300, and they'll give you $1 change.
Yeah.
That was my guess. Although I believe those of us that are presenters have a discount code that we can offer. Then that would have been a great thing for me to have ready right now. But I will have it ready in probably 30 seconds.
Yeah. So I'm already ready, but you need to go to my website. And you need to click on, but this is the Hebrew section, so hopefully it's not too intimidating. But to get the code, people will do anything. Just click on the first thing that you are seeing in the slides, and it will take you to everything you need to know. And use Google Translate, and you'll have it over here.
All right. So yeah, we got to pick another demo to get into though. Gotta make that happen.
And, keep bringing any other questions too. Any questions about these demos, or anything about After Effects in general. But so right now, if we want to see another demo, which I definitely do, because every time I see Eran give even like a quick tip, I learn something, and I feel like I know After Effects pretty well. So I think that speaks pretty highly of his knowledge of just every tiny detail in this program. I don't know. So let's see. We have 1 through 6, but not 4. Right. So we'll just have the chat randomly yell out numbers again, and we'll see how that works. I feel like it worked out pretty well last time.
I mean, I kind of hope that they pick number 2, but I don't know, because I can see the list.
Oh. Yes, but number 2
so they don't know the name of the topics. They're just choosing random numbers.
They're just choosing random numbers.
Oh my god!
So it's totally meaningless because I mean we could just be picking them based on what we want anyway, right? This could all be an illusion.
Well, people have to trust that we're doing it this way.
Okay, so I see 2 is definitely the heavy favorite, but I think that's because Evan said so.
No, there's a delay. This is before I said anything.
Oh, is it? Well, okay. So 2 is the one that's the working with the Cinema 4D and Cineware and camera tracking. But you said that kind of needs to get the lead in from contact shadows, or was that the other way?
Yeah, I'll do the contact shadow briefly. Like, in my mind, it's 30 seconds. In reality, it's probably going to do 3 minutes. But I'll do it as fast as I can to get to the juicy part.
All right, we're going to jump to your screen.
You get 12 seconds. Make it
12 seconds, all right. I should start from the final and break it down.
Yeah.
All right, so assuming you see my screen, you can also see my castle, which I can't get to these days. But
sad.
It doesn't really matter, but it's not really my castle. But anyhow, I already, with your permission, of course, took the liberty and used the 3D camera tracker to track this shot. So, my first tip will be to find the target shop. In this case, here on the floor. And if you don't get my jokes, don't worry, I also don't understand them. Anyhow, I'm just going to click here. And this is going to lay down a triangle and triangulate a target. Now, the reason that I did it over here, not only because I have a sixth sense when it comes to this project, also because I want you to know that, the first thing that you need to do is to create or to set the ground plane in origin. Actually, this is the second thing. So if I'm doing it, let's do it correctly. I'm going to actually click on it. But the first thing is, after you tracked something, go to the advanced settings and find out what is the average error. So in my case, it is set to 0.32, which is great. Anything under 1.5 means that whatever you're going to place in this scene, this is the accuracy of the solve. If you're seeing larger numbers, you may want to maybe detail analysis this, or maybe abstract some things, or help the tracker. Anyhow, so a tip within a tip, like before. So once I did this set ground and plane, this means that now this is the 0, point of this world. So anything that I'm going to create here, so for example, I'm going to create a solid and a camera, is going to, if I'm going to select this track and press P, the position of this track, this solid, is at 0, and this is going to be very helpful if I'll bring anything from 3D or from Cinema 4D. Now, just to make it more sensible, I told you that this is my castle. I'm just going to say goodbye to this track solid. We don't really need it. I just want to make sure that you know that this is my castle. So I just placed a couple of, texts over there, already tracked to the scene. The problem here is that we don't have contact shadows. So very quickly, I'll return to the layer. I'll return to the 3D camera effect. I'll go actually once again to more or less the same place that I were before. I'll click again, and this time I'm going to create a shadow catcher and a light. And this is going to create a special layer here inside After Effects, which is serving as a shadow layer. I'm speaking fast because this is not the part that we need to be worried about. It's just an invisible layer. It will create a light as well. The reason that the light is in arbitrary place is beyond me. So when I press P, this is the position. But luckily, we resetted the scene, so I can just type in 0 on all the axes, and then grab it and place it above. So let's just take it over here. I'm holding down Shift to make it a little bit more faster, and then let's just move in so we can see the shadows. All right, it looks like it is looking more or less decent. I'll double click on the light to edit the shadow darkness. Let's set it to 50 and maybe, diffuse it a bit. I don't know how much. I'm just going to play with the numbers. And by the way, you can double tap on the A to give you the shadow diffusion. So this is great when it comes to text. and shadows. But what will happen if I'm going to go to the source files folder and grab this 3.c4d file, which immediately going to pop in the middle of the scene. Now, currently, it's not going to obey anything in terms of 3D, although this is a 3D object. Before moving on, change this to OpenGL, just so we'll get rid of these ugly lines, and we're going to color correct it in a moment. Don't worry, it will be less ugly. But what I would like first to solve here is the placement. So I can change it from the Cinema 4D camera, which is non-existent, to the comp camera. And because I'm doing it like this and I resetted the scene, this is going to jump to the 000 place, which doesn't make any sense in this case. I mean, it's obey the camera, but it's not in the right position. However, because I know more or less where I am, since I've resetted the coordinates, I can select the layer. This is going to be an intimidating part, so bear with me. I'm going to say Edit Original, and we are going to leave After Effects just for a moment. I promise you, it's going to be very, very fast. So here, this is the same thing inside C4D, and we can actually now go to 4 views and start to move this to the desired location. So I happen to know the values, and I don't want to intimidate you, so I'm just going to type it in super quickly. See how quick I am? I'm going to say apply, and then save this file on top of the original, return to After Effects, count until, I didn't even finish the count. And this tree is now part of the scene. So now it's actually working quite nicely. I promised, so I need to fulfill the promise. I'm going to go, sorry for that, to color correction and choose the curves effect. And since I'm using the curves effect, I can't help it but, to give you some curves effect tips. So, you can use the overall curves, but only if the curves effect is highlighted. You can press Control or Command 1 to activate the red channel and do some modification. Command or Control 2. And this is going to activate the green channel. As I'm doing it, I'm color correcting this shot. Command or Control 3 to maybe work with the blue ones. And just like that, without even talking about it too much, I'm trying to match the shot. Something like this looks much better. All right, let's also go back to the effect menu under blur and sharpen. Nobody uses sharpen. They should just change it to blur and give sharpen a different category. Anyhow, this is in front of us, so I'm just going to use maybe 2 pixels and blur it out. Now, the problem is that we don't have any shadows on the floor. So let's cheat. One way to work is to return to Cinema 4D. I know I can hear you. I'm not going to do it. So instead, I'll duplicate the layer and I'll basically say goodbye to these guys. Thank you for the service. Let's just bring it underneath. And I'm going to go to Slant. Now, what I actually want to do is, I can't remember the keyboard shortcut that I'm using for, let's say, all right, I'm going to see what I defined here, because this is what I was looking for. So Control Option, why am I using this? Very weird. Let's take the Control out of the equation. Sorry for that, guys, but it's going to make my life more easier. All right, so everybody knows what I'm pressing here, right? This is from my dear and very talented friend. Effect console. Anyhow, I was looking for the slant effect. So this is slant. And this is going to allow us to create effect shadow. So what I'll do now is change the height of it. So we have another tree. I'll set the color to black because all shadows are black, which is not true, but in this case they are. I'll press T for opacity. And then I'll set it to, I don't know, to 50%. And just to create something which is not so harsh, I'll select again the effect controls. This time I'll start to type the word linear. I'll take the linear wipe effect. And I'll start the transition completion after changing the wipe angle to trim the edge of this tree. And then I'll be very generous with my feather, because this is the person that I am. I'm very generous with my feather. All right, so something like this, maybe more. And we are faking it. We are making it look like there is a contact shadow on the floor. And since both of them are obeying the 3D camera motion, they should work very decent. So this is me previewing in real time, slowly, frame after frame, a couple of 3D layers, so you can get a sense of how this looks in motion, because this is what counts. Now, of course, we can give this more love, but this is in a nutshell how you can do it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And as usual, a tip within a tip within a tip.
I should definitely blur the shadow nowadays. So,
yeah, maybe we're a real Matryoshka doll of tips over here.
Yeah. Wow, we are going through those leaves to the castle. So yes, almost got it.
Man, I think I mean the Cinema 4D, the Cineware stuff. A lot of folks are like, they may not play around with it a lot. Mostly because I know I'm reserved to jump in there a lot because. I don't know. I'd have to model stuff and whatever. But there are reciprocities to pick up all kinds of models and start playing around with them today, so you can see what it's like. You don't have to be great at everything to pull this stuff in. We did have a question about 3D workflows a little bit. Whether or not the process would be similar for working from Maya or Blender, and I think that all comes down to the Cineware plugin, right? That's why we have these excellent integrations, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. So if I can jump in, the integration between Maxon and Adobe is brilliant. Of course, you got the free version baked into the After Effects interface, so to say. So it makes things really, really easy. There's a lot of expression going on under the scene, under the hood. So there are a couple of limitations when it comes to using the Cineware effect. For example, if I'm going to try to touch this clip and move it, it will yell at me that, I can't do it. So, you can use the transform effect if you need to do basic X and Y movement. Adobe are aware, Adobe is or are, probably are, Adobe are aware of these limitations, and I know that they are working on it. So do expect things to happen here. When it comes to Maya, Blender, and other stuff, you are basically you need to either render the result or use Element 3D as a bridge, which is you can also use Element 3D as a bridge with Cinema 4D, of course, and this can save you a lot of times because Element is more friendly, I guess, and render faster. But yes, this is this is the answer.
Yeah, and if people are picking up .obj files or the sort of generic go-between files, Cinema 4D Lite can open up most of them. So,
and of course, the crucial thing, personally, I love Element, and I use it for most of my bringing in 3D objects. But obviously, that has an additional cost. But Cinema 4D Lite just comes with your After Effects install. So even if you are terrified of 3D, you can, if you have After Effects installed, you have a light version of Cinema installed. So you can go in there and play around and bring in elements, maybe even just try it for text or some basic shapes and learn how this works.
And I know, I don't know. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was about to say that 3D these days is becoming mandatory for any motion graphics artist. So if you want to dive in, my recommendation is to try Cinema before trying all the other stuff. Not only because it is bundled with After Effects, I think it is a designer. It's a 3D designer application. If I need to summarize it in one line. Obviously, it can do a lot of other stuff, but it comes from a designer point of view and perspective. So it is more easier to learn and to master. It's a very deep pool. I'm using it for almost 10 years, and I think that I'm still in the shallow water. To be honest, I'm doing a lot of stuff, but I just watched the Maxon feed this week, and it was awesome stuff. People are doing my jaw drops, and so it's still I found a lot of corners, not corners, areas in the application, very intimidating, but it is, I think if you want to get into motion graphics, you should grab some 3D application. Maxon is probably the one that works better with After Effects, or best.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of 3D things, we got a question here from Logan, who says, "Hey Kyle!" ! Wow, what an artist! Amazing website and work, Eran. So congratulations. No mention of Evan in this question, making it a bad question.
Pretty
we all
intentional.
know how talented you are, Evan.
I know.
I've been bribing Logan heavily behind the scenes, so
okay.
Checks
out.
Well,
now we get into the question part.
You can see the plague behind you.
That's right. Look, I just leave it a little bit out of frame just to call attention to it.
No, we should be proud of it.
Don't worry about the tiny spotlight that is also on it. So the question is Stardust or Trap Code? Which one, when, and why? When we're talking about, just because we were talking about like .obj stuff and bringing 3D things in, Stardust and Trap Code both have the ability to pull .obj files in and to do interesting rendering things. Personally, I'm a Trap Code man myself, but do you two, the other two people on the show, what do you think of these? When, why, how? Discuss.
You go ahead. I actually
I'll start. All right.
Weigh this myself recently, but you have a lot more experience in Stardust than I do. So
yeah, I'm a bit biased. So I need to tell everyone that I was part of the initial thing going on with Stardust. Not anymore. So still using it. It's the best deal in the market for the amount you pay. Definitely a huge plugin. So the learning curve is steep. But it can do a lot of stuff. So it is some sort of a mix between element and particular, and they are keep pushing and putting more and stuff. And Aaron and Shachar, both of them, dear friends of mine, the developers behind this tool, are really doing an amazing work. And each release, and they're still giving it for free. So if you bought a license like a year ago, you're getting all of these new additions like simulation engine inside a 3D workflow. And this is just it's an amazing deal, but it's also complicated due to the fact that it is working in node-based form, and you need to watch some tutorials. There is a getting started series over in my website, so if you want to check it out under tutorials, I've done some work for them. This is why I said I'm biased. But on the other hand, we have the industry standard, which is particular, which I love. And this is, for most of the cases, this is my to-go effect. I feel very comfortable. I think the work that Red Giant did in the last couple of releases over there with the, how they call it, the browser, not the browser, the
the
designer
browser,
the designer is just awesome and very, very easy to get tutorials and training. It's also super fast, and it's very solid. The code that Peter Norby wrote, so solid, so stable. It's important. I can tell you, it's important in those tough moments when a client says, I want you to enlarge my logo, which consists of thousands of particles. You want to rely on stability. So yeah, both in terms of features and workflows. I love both of them. It's deciding between two of my daughters, and I have three, so it's very difficult.
Yeah, I've kind of just I bought Stardust when it came out and sort of just hadn't gotten around to using it until fairly recently here, and I've actually watched several of your tutorials to help figure out how to use it. And it is super powerful in some crazy ways. It definitely feels a little bit. It is intimidating because. I think it's about 3 years old now at this point, right? But definitely, compared to how much training is available for it, the Particular's been around for 15 years or something, right? So it's well established, and even though it's evolved a lot in that time, a lot of the stuff is real solid. So I don't know. I have both, and I'm finding both really awesome. Stardust does not have fluid dynamics yet that I'm aware of, though you can approximate it through, the various physics simulations in there and stuff. So
our answer is don't decide, get both of them.
Yeah.
Right?
There you go. And it depends on what your needs are, as is always the case with third-party stuff.
Right. Look, when in doubt, just buy them both. That's the real.
And add a drop shadow.
That's right.
Yeah. Lots of drop shadow.
That's why
you're allowed to add 150 drop shadows in your life. So if you executed them, then go with contact shadows. You can add as many contact shadows as you like.
Yeah.
But not drop shadows.
Speaking of that, we got kind of a follow-up question just now from Mark in the chat. Will Element 3D work better with tracking a 3D object than C4D, considering it works as a plugin in the native AE space, as opposed to creating objects in a separate program?
Yes and no. So once again, depends on the project, depends on the shot. Element 3D really integrate. It's a bridge between 3D and 2D. It's really integrated well into After Effects. So if you feel comfortable with the After Effects camera tracker and you know how to reset it, so things, normalize the scene and all the other stuff that you are probably seeing already. It's once again, try first. This is what I'm going to say. Try first Element if you can. If you can't make it work, then pull up the big gun, which is Cinema 4D, which is an awesome 3D tracker, as well as it's more capable. I mean, this is a real heavy duty, 3D application with everything that you need. And now that they don't give you slices of the application, you get either the LE or the entire thing. You can enjoy everything that it has to offer.
Mm-hmm. I definitely like the ease of adjustment from Element, but it's definitely not a place to do modeling. Like you can do very simple stuff, push text, do shapes and stuff. But, if you want to get too much beyond that, or I will say all the models that you can buy for it are amazing. But if you need to build your own stuff, you're definitely looking at a dedicated 3D program.
Yeah.
Well,
of course, you can bring stuff from Cinema 4D, but the discussion is closed. We are
shut it down.
The end. Cutting it off.
Put the hammer.
Look, I'm here to keep the show moving along. We got 10 minutes to go here, and I did want to remind people we are giving away a ticket to Post Production World Online. It's coming up, roughly $300 American value. If you want to win that, please get active in the chat. Just type PPW and then let us know what you want to learn in After Effects. We had a bunch of people already jump on that, but keep it going because we'll deal with that in about 3 minutes. We'll figure out who the winner is. But we got a few more questions that are hanging out here in the. Kyle, you've earmarked these as lightning round questions. I see.
Today it would definitely be the advanced lightning round to co-opt. I think that was John Colombo's joke from the previous week here.
Well, Kyle, because some of these are pretty advanced things. Do we need to start the lightning round early?
I don't know if. Okay, so we've been kind of sitting on this color management question, which is definitely not a quick answer, and if anything is, maybe an answer that would take up the whole show. But Sable just wanted to know what ear monitors you're using. That feels like an easy answer.
My monitor? I'm using an iMac Pro. Quite a nifty one, so not the base model.
And Sinead, who's been full of questions today, which is great. It's a good quick but general discussion question for all of us here. What effect do you see too much that, as she put it, makes you vomit in your mouth slightly? Or something that's just overused or maybe used poorly?
I guess these days it's probably going to be the glitch effect or some sort of glitch variations, right? So, I mean, there are circumstances when this is work, but usually... the thing for me with effects like this, I'm coming from a narrative background, the best way to transform between two shots is the cut, which maintain the timing, right? If you want to tell people that you are fast forwarding or, time is passed by, you'll use a dissolve. And then for all the other circumstances, you'll use a wipe. So wipe needs to be moving you from one place to another place, i.e. Star Wars, right? So, those glitches effect sometimes, when they are overused, it's just too dizzy for me, probably because of my age also. But there are a couple of circumstances that it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes, yeah, not everything needs to be quite so degraded and glitchy. Some things should probably just work properly, right?
Well,
right.
I mean, so I think glitch effect, we see it really abused a lot. Yeah. Especially in this is some video game footage, right? But the aesthetic of Twitch streaming is not for us, right? That's
true.
One of the things that maybe makes me agitated, if I had to name my biggest bugaboo, it's when the effects have nothing to do with the content themselves. So, for example, this is stuff like really blowing out the color grading on something when it doesn't really have any narrative impact on what's happening, right? When it's not motivated. Like we can have unmotivated acting, we can have unmotivated editing, we can have unmotivated visual effects and visual treatment, right? Like I think those are the things that really snap me out of it. And I think one of the, I don't know, just when things don't fit in that way. And I guess some of the most glaring things are like, oh, well, I wanted to show it was security camera footage. So we used the same Alexa camera, but we went ahead and just made it like a little bit black and white. Like, right, we didn't change the angle or anything. Like, there's no security camera at head height. What is happening? So those are the things that give me the voms. Kyle, what do you got?
Maybe I'll just jump on. I mean, I agree that like anything unmotivated is, I mean, the question kind of goes on to ask about overused templates and stuff. And I mean, honestly, like anything that you're just using, totally stock without modifying it. I mean, there's definitely instances where that's fine. And templates exist to be used for that reason. But I think be thoughtful about why you're choosing the things you're choosing and whether they add something to your project or you're just doing it because you don't know what else to do. Right. And if it's the latter, maybe rethink using it at all.
That's about it. Just summarized it very, very nicely.
So we have been doing an informal bracket amongst our guests and ourselves of what their favorite / maybe like underappreciated effect is. So I think you'd probably be a great person to get an answer on that.
Oh, wow. I should plan. I should prepare.
No, this is the question we don't let anyone prepare for.
Okay.
You got to go with your gut.
I'm going to say probably the offset effect.
Oh.
This is one of my favorite one. I'm using it a lot. But then when I'll hear myself saying this, I'll probably come up with a better answer. It's like George in Seinfeld, so I need to catch up again. So yeah, this is what I'm going to vote for now.
Look, offset is a solid choice. It's firmly at the head of the utility pack. Mm-hmm. I think.
Yeah.
I think that is a great space for it to be. I mean, not to be outdone by Transform right there next to it. You can't.
Or CC Composite.
Look, we're not. I'm
guessing people already chose those two guys, so
I really like offset, and you know where offset would find great use? In a glitch effect.
Absolutely. By the way, check the Bed TV 1 and Bed TV 2 presets that ships with After Effects for 12 years. I know because I did some of them, so they are showing their age, but they are using the offset effect.
Yep.
So, oh man. Well. Now we come to the time of the program where we need to make good on our giveaway. So you're in luck. I did a quick search on our chat, and we have actually 20 entries.
Wow.
And so I happen to. I mean, this is normal on everybody's desk. I have this 20-sided die that I will be using to determine who the winner is. This is, of course, the most normal thing that all people have on their desk all the time. So I'm gonna give it a roll here. We're gonna see. Oh, we got number 4. 2, 3, 4. Oh, and we've got, this is, number 4 is Abdul Rajiq. So, Abdul, hopefully you're still in the chat. If not, I'm going to find you. And
I'm gonna tag him.
Yeah. And their post-production world thing, they said they want to learn motion design, which is great, as we all do. It's a nice general thing, and of course, there are such programs on there, a big collection of things. So get at us in the chat. Hopefully, he's still hanging with us here, and we'll manage to get that out.
He was taggable, so I assume he's still here. We'll find out as we wait for the lag to catch up of the chat here.
I don't know how that works. If not, though, thanks to the power of of the internet. We can just find him through his YouTube account. No one is far away from us. So we'll make sure he gets that, which is my way of saying no redraws.
Eran, I'm going to post this link in a second directly to your LinkedIn learning profile. But a thing that I wanted to call out there, too, is that you do a weekly series, too, with all these little kind of like small quick tips like this, which I think is really great. And it's a great way to learn like these kind of little things that you may not think to seek out. But especially with the way you do this, you end up with 5 little tips packed into one little technique. So I just want to kind of call that out. Do you have any other I don't know, specific courses you want to shout out on there that are coming up or that you're really proud of or anything?
I'm very proud of the AE Weekly series. So this is like from me to you, your AE dose, free and legit. And very needful in these days. So yeah, check it out. And there are 5 new courses in the queue for LinkedIn Learning that should come out probably in, as the way they are saying it, Q3, Q2 or Q3. Who knows what this means? So in the coming weeks, great stuff, I guess. I mean, it's if I can testify upon myself. I took some topics that I felt like it's not the best thing or my comfort zone. Like for example, rotoscoping, the thing that everybody loves to do, including myself, and I'm cynical, of course. So I've created a course named The Art of Rotoscoping, which teach you 2 things. Like first, how to turn any video into work of art, which is the original meaning of the word rotoscoping. So before computer days and people who are just, sketching and drawing frame by frame, meticulously to create, I'm going to say, to give the aha take on me clip as an example. So this is like half of the course, and the second half is, rotoscoping these days. So how to use, the built-in tools in After Effects. I'm covering everything, including Mocha AE and the new member Silhouette. So everything is packed jam into this course. I'm really proud of how it came. And of course, the course that I described earlier. And there are a couple of other cool stuff, especially if you are doing your, baby steps from Photoshop to After Effects or from Illustrator to After Effects. I got you covered. And I'm going to keep vaguely the other stuff as a surprise. As if I'm a programmer that don't want to, announce stuff. But yes, this is it.
Awesome. And, we can see in the chat that Joel is currently rotoscoping. We feel your pain. If only the show were longer to keep you company during this horrible time.
Yeah.
He said, listening makes it slightly less painful. So we'll take that as a ringing endorsement.
Awesome. Well,
put some good music, sit on a comfortable chair, and rotoscope your life.
Hey, it's fantastic. Look, I used to do a lot of roto back in the day, and that's when I fell in love with podcasts. So that's it for the show. Thanks again for coming and hanging out with us, man. This has been great. It's always good to hang out. Always good to see these masterful tips, and hopefully people got a lot out of them. Folks who are watching, thank you so much for coming and hanging out. You can find more of Eran Stern at SternFX, and get him on Twitter. We got his Twitter handles down below his face. And Kyle, where can people find more about you?
At kylehamrick.com or my Twitter thing that's somewhere here. Yeah, I'm not looking at my live feed, so I don't know where it is.
It's hard to tell. You wore a light-colored shirt today, and I didn't anticipate that. And, of course, you can find me around the internet at ecabrams, evanabrams.com, or this very channel. So if you like what you're hearing, you like what you're seeing, subscribe, turn on notifications, and you'll get more of this. Anyway, thanks again so much. This has been fantastic, and hopefully we do it again sometime. Next week, we're doing a regular Q&A thing, so please use the form to submit us your Qs so we can show you some As. That's it for Motion Design Hotline, and have a great day. Oh, wait, now I got the out button.